Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the movie Ocean's 8 again, which is basically the Ghostbusters 2016 of 2018. Not only did both franchises produce all-girl sequels which no one asked for, but also, like I predicted before, Ocean's 8 is currently going into damage control mode, and this includes the producers and actors taking no blame for their project's failure themselves. Of course they don't. Hell no. These all-female projects have an automatic out, don't you remember? If you don't like all-female reboots, you're a sexist and you hate women. It's not because the movie is derivative and boring. No way. The bad reviews coming in for Ocean's 8, they're all the reviewers' fault, not the movie makers, according to these radical feminists and SJWs in Hollywood. I already went over why Ocean's 8 sucked extensively in my hot take review video. Link below if you want to catch the whole thing, but to put it briefly, Ocean's 8 was mediocre at best. It had a decent cast, sure, but I personally think the cast itself even was overhyped. I like Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett as much as the next guy, but they seemed a little too old and low energy in a movie like this, for me, which is especially bad in this heist film genre, which does better when it's fast-paced and action-packed. Regardless, it appears my opinion on this movie doesn't matter much, not to the stars of Ocean's 8, and it's not because I'm just some nobody making YouTube videos. No, my review is being considered unfair by their cast, because I'm a white male. That's right. It looks like the angle this movie's PR damage control team is going with is this. There are too many white male movie critics, and they're being unfair to Ocean's 8 because it has women and diversity and shit. They're basically implying sexism and racism here, but the attack is more focused on shitting on white men like me. Fucking bastards. The first article on this topic came to my attention from my buddy Art, who's @GamerFromMars on Twitter and YouTube. He recently tweeted this gem saying, "Stupid white men in their shuffles deck, draws card, reviews," with a picture of Mindy Kaling's smug as fuck face below it, which is under an even more revolting article called Mindy Kaling, White Male Critics Are Being Unfair to Ocean's 8. Wow, what a mess this is. I guess we should turn to the article and see how this disgusting wench can explain her blatant anti-white, anti-male bigotry. Check this out. Ocean's 8 star Mindy Kaling is making waves about white male movie critics, saying they've been unfair to the all-female star reboot of the Ocean's heist movie franchise. "If I had to base my career on what white men wanted, I would be very unsuccessful," Kaling told Yahoo News. "There's obviously an audience out there who want to watch the things like Ocean's 8, which I work on." Co-star Cate Blanchett agreed, blaming the media for not getting it right. "The conversation has to change and the media has a huge responsibility," Blanchett said. "Well, if there was such a big audience for all-women heist movies, I think they would get made more. Instead, progressive politics in Hollywood and feminist SJW agendas push this bullcrap onto people who frankly don't want it. Let's face the facts. The Ocean's franchise is for guys. It's for dudes. These are action-packed, over-the-top heist movies, and the crime genre has been known to have a mostly male audience for generations. Now, that's not to say guys can't watch girls in their movies, but I think maybe, I hate to say it, but guys don't want to watch these girls in their movies. The Ocean's 8 cast was a bunch of old lady, lesbian-looking trolls. The only real hottie was Anne Hathaway, and that really says a lot about how low quality your women are. For comparison, let's take a look at a more successful, similar franchise. For example, Charlie's Angels has come to mind a couple of times thinking about Ocean's 8, because it bears a striking resemblance. Both are all-female, supposedly action, crime-related movies, but there's a big difference, of course. The Charlie's Angels cast was both super hot and badass. They did fun fights and action-packed, multifaceted set pieces. Both the Charlie's Angels TV show from the 70s and the movie from the 2000s got this right. If you want men to watch your all-girl action movie, they better be young, sexy, and badass. Not old, slow, and boring like Ocean's 8. Both Mindy Kaling and Cate Blanchett are really being sore losers here. At least the rest of the cast has kept pretty quiet, but these two are acting quite embarrassing, I have to say. Not only are they not taking responsibility for their failure, they're also acting like cornered animals, lashing out at anyone who comes near them, anyone they can pass the buck to, and put blame on for Ocean's 8's bad reviews. And it looks like, once again, white males are getting shit on here. We're pretty much the only demographic that it's okay to openly be bigoted toward. Hating on white men is encouraged even. I mean, look at this New York Post article we just read. They're just going along with this shit, perpetuating it even. All the while, no one is challenging these special snowflakes on their bigotry. I mean, can you imagine if a movie's cast did this to another group? Do you think the cast of Justice League would be allowed to blame their failure on brown female critics? Or what if the Tomb Raider reboot had its cast lashing out at black male viewers for not liking their movie? I don't think any of this open racism and sexism would fly, so neither should the anti-white male shit either. But it gets even worse than this. Another article from The Guardian goes into even more actresses complaining about white reviewers. This time they're calling for more diversity among movie critics, which basically means they want less whites. Plain and simple. Every time a liberal uses the diversity buzzword, they mean they want less white people every time. The article is called "Ocean's 8 Stars Blame Donald dominance of male critics for films' mixed reviews. Check this shit out. Stars of Ocean's 8, the heist movie featuring all female leads, have accused male critics of failing to appreciate their film. Then the beginning goes over the same beats with the last article. Mindy says male reviewers are unfair, and Kate says the media has a responsibility to change this. And I want to address the part about the media more now. What the fuck are you talking about, Kate? I don't know why, but it's almost like she assumes the media should be on her side. Sounds like Hollywood is getting a little too used to having all these bullshit reporters on their side all the time. So now when they finally go against them and report how bad a movie is, somehow it's the media's fault the movie failed. Fucking priceless. A study by USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative was released earlier this week, examining the gender and ethnic profile of US critics who wrote about last year's 100 most successful films. The study found that 80% were men and 82% white. Such makeup was well known, said Blanchett, but only belatedly being raised. When you start pointing that stuff out, you realize there's a certain gaze that looks at women. Jesus Christ. They act like they have some kind of got you here with this test and study, but I hate to break it to you guys, but there's nothing wrong with 80% of film critics being men. Just like how there's nothing wrong with 83% of nurses being female, or 74% of the NBA being black, or 99% of lawyers being Jewish. Funny how leftists never complain about any other fields like this, or professions. They never complain about other fields being dominated by certain demographics at all. It's only the white-dominated male ones that become a problem to SJWs. Because of course, diversity means less white. And also, in today's story, white men are a problem because they didn't like this bullshit feminist propaganda movie, Ocean's 8. Kayleen referred to Meryl Streep's attack on reviews aggregate site Rotten Tomatoes, which she felt prioritized the views of men. Promoting the film Suffragette in 2015, Streep said she felt the ratio adversely affected ticket sales for female-skewed films. I submit to you that men and women are not the same. They like different things, she said. Sometimes they like the same thing, but sometimes their tastes diverge. If the tomato meter is slided so completely to one set of tastes, that drives box office in the United States. Absolutely. Kinda giving Rotten Tomatoes a little too much credit here, Meryl. Streep is a known lefty feminist piece of work, by the way, so it's not surprising that she too attacked the male critics, instead of taking blame for a shitty movie. I heard Suffragette was boring as fuck. On the subject of Ocean's 8, Kayleen said, and the thing about so much of what this movie is, I think white men, critics would enjoy it, would enjoy my work, but often I think there's a critic who will damn it in any way, because they don't understand it, because they come at it at a different point of view, and they're so powerful, Rotten Tomatoes. Now I think you're being a little paranoid, Mindy, and very overly defensive. How about this? Maybe, just maybe, if someone says they don't like your work, it's because your work isn't that good, or it doesn't appeal to them. That's possible too, but I'm sorry, Mindy. I hate to break it to you, but you're not for everyone, honey. Not everyone likes overweight, single mother Indian women with smug looks on their face. And not very many people like Mindy's shows either, like the Mindy Project. But she did of course come from The Office, which was wildly popular, but that was hardly because of Mindy herself. In fact, most of that show's success could be attributed to, guess who? White males. White men like Steve Carell, John Krasinski, and Rainn Wilson are the ones who put The Office on the map, and ipso facto helped give Mindy Kaling her breakout role. So if you think about it that way, in a way, Mindy herself owes a lot of her current success to white men, which makes her pathetic attack on them even more ironic, hypocritical, and just plain wrong. The spin-off from Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 11 film and its two sequels has so far avoided the backlash that met Paul Feig's gender-flipped Ghostbusters film 2 years ago. It topped the US box office last weekend, fueled by an audience that was 69% female, 69, and beat the receipts of Ocean's 11 and its two sequels, although the numbers were not adjusted for inflation. Well, nice try, but I think there's been quite a bit of inflation since 2001, when the first Oceans came out. And to try to put Ocean's 8 on the same level as the George Clooney-led series is fucking laughable. On Wednesday, the actor Brie Larson, who won an Oscar for a role in Kidnap Drama Room, announced an initiative by the Sundance and Toronto Film Festivals to allocate 20% of their journalist passes to critics from underrepresented groups. I think that's called affirmative action, and it doesn't work for shit, but I guess we'll try it again anyway. She flagged the box office flop of A Wrinkle in Time, Ava DuVernay's fantasy drama based on a novel by Madeleine L'Engle, hard names today, sorry guys, as a victim of the lack of critical comprehension. I don't need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work about A Wrinkle in Time, said Larson at a Women in Film Crystal and Lucy Awards in Beverly Hills. Sounds like she was trying to play to a feminist audience. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what it meant to women of color, biracial women, or teen women of color. Now, I don't know if these ditzy actors know this, but if they don't want to listen to white male reviewers, they really don't have to. There are plenty of movie review critics of all genders and races out there in the papers and online if you look for it. So with that said, I don't really get what the problem is here. Well, actually, I kind of do. I think what's up is Brie Larson and the Ocean's 8 cast want to dethrone white male reviewers who dominate the press. We dominate it because we're the best, and that's why our reviews are at the top of review aggregators like Rotten Tomatoes. Even YouTube is topped by white male reviewers like Jeremy Jans, Chris Stuckman, Your Movie Sucks, sucks or red letter media. But you know what? No one is forcing anyone to watch them. And if you want to find reviewers in other demographics, they're certainly out there too. In fact, I found a few myself, which we'll get to a little bit later. Am I saying I hate white dudes? Continued Larson. No, I am not. What I'm saying is, if you make a movie that is a love letter to women of color, there is an insanely low chance a woman of color will have a chance to see your movie and review your movie. Larson added, it really sucks that reviews matter, but reviews matter. Good reviews out of festivals give small independent films a fighting chance to be bought and seen. Good reviews help films gross money. Good reviews slingshot films into awards contenders. A good review can change your life. It changed mine. Okay, hold up. You say you don't hate white dudes, but what you're also saying about reviewers is bigoted towards us. Sorry, but you can't have your cake and eat it too, Brie. The fact of the matter is, all these actresses complaining here, they're bitching and moaning because they saw reviews they didn't like, of movies which were obviously bad too. Ocean's 8 and A Wrinkle in Time were shit movies, let's face it, and we need to stop pretending the bad reviews are because the movie critics are biased. No, it's because the movie sucked, plain and simple. And now, before we go, for shits and giggles, let's take a look at a couple other movie reviews on YouTube. I mean, you don't want to take my word for it that Ocean's 8 was bad. I'm a dirty white male. So instead, let's take the word of a much better, more beloved race. Here's a video from Black Critic Guy called Why I Won't Watch Ocean's 8. Check this out.
The upcoming film that I know a lot of us have been pleading, begging, and asking for the last, I guess, 11 years, because that was the last time that I ever heard about an Ocean's movie, called Ocean's 8. Well, let's not beat around the bush. Let's actually dive into the reasons why I won't watch this film.
Sensing the sarcasm there, big guy. And, okay, I kind of like where this is going. Let's check out his first reason then.
Number one, it's clearly agenda-driven rather than being a story that somebody wanted to tell. And you know how I know this? Because the film wasn't made because they came up with an interesting story, because the story is basically a rehash of the first film. It was made to push the false narrative that there just isn't enough women in film.
Alright, well, looks like I wasn't the only one who thought this movie was made for the wrong reasons. The plot is rehashed and the story was lacking any sort of originality too. So, I have to say, I strongly agree with this Black Critic guy, which is weird because I thought it was only white men who were supposedly being unfair to Ocean's 8. That's funny. It almost seems like that blaming white males part was total bullshit. Oh well, maybe it's just a guy thing then. This movie starred women, Ocean's 8. It was made for women too, right? So surely there's no women out there giving it bad reviews. There can't be.
This film was boring. Like, I was so boring. It was the direction, it was the screenplay. It all felt a little bit too easy and breezy, and I'm just waiting for the big, like, aha moment. I'm waiting for something suspenseful. Like, come on, give me something here that I can be engaged with and excited about. There was just no stakes whatsoever. Everyone was just cool, calm, and collected.
Okay, wow. So it is possible for a woman to think this movie was boring and bland too. That's funny. I thought it was just a male thing maybe. This channel Roll Credits can't really think this movie was that bad though, right?
Most people are giving it a pass. They're saying, look, it's a pretty okay standard continuation of the Oceans brand, the Oceans franchise. But I'm gonna put my foot down and say no. I wanted something more than just a family-friendly popcorn movie that was just easy and didn't ask anything more of the audience.
Not sounding too good for Ocean's 8 then, I guess. Sorry, gals. In the end, it obviously wasn't the white man's fault that Ocean's 8 got bad reviews. It was the movie's fault for sucking. And let's not forget, this film was helmed by director Gary Ross, who is also a white male himself. And frankly, the director usually has more to do with how a movie turns out than specific actors. So it's really sad to see all these actresses from the movie going full SJW about it. Let's face the facts, ladies. The reviewers aren't biased. You are. And when your projects fail next time, try and deal with it with a little bit more grace. Because this whining and complaining and blaming everything on everyone else, it's pretty pathetic. And frankly, you're also playing into the stereotype about women and how they can never take responsibility for their own actions. What do you guys think? Did you see Ocean's 8? Was it as bad as reviewers say? Or were the reviews biased because they're mostly by white males? Which shouldn't really be that big of a surprise to begin with. We do live in a historically white country after all, which was founded, built, and expanded into the greatest country in the world by white men. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.